If you're looking for a new way to support the podcast, check out Dubby.gg, an energy supplement company trying to make a difference. There, you can use code SIDEMISSION for 10% off your order. Thank you to Dubby for sponsoring this episode, and we hope you enjoy.
Welcome into the newest episode of Side Mission. I, like always, am your host, Rusty Ellis, joined by the boys, Kyle Lynch and Matt Beck. And fellas, it is our first episode of 2025. We've had about a month and a half break as of recording this. We needed that little reset. I think we can all agree. We all needed a little bit of a break, I think, from Side Mission. But we are back, and we are talking today about our most anticipated games this year. And boys, after the PlayStation State of Play today, this year might be loaded. This year might just be pretty damn loaded. So we've all come with a couple games that we know are coming this year, whether it be soon or later in the year. We're excited for it. There's a lot going on in gaming that I think, especially after last year, where there were a lot of good games last year. We all agree on that. There were some really, really good games last year. But it was a little bit of a down year. I think we're all excited for what this year has in front of it, especially, like I said, after today's State of Play. So we'll go ahead and jump right in. Matt, I'll let you go first. Just talk about a game that you are excited for above all else. What game, when you think, this is the game I'm looking forward to the most this year, what game comes to mind?
Well, as you know, because I'm going to say this, as the Nintendo fanboy,
I know it.
My first exciting game I'm really looking forward to this year is Legends ZA. Now, even though we have not seen, we haven't seen gameplay or anything about it, but Legends Arceus was one of the first times where Game Freak really stepped outside of the box of what your typical Pokemon mainline game is like, and it introduced us into, an open world type setting where Pokemon show up in the overworld, and they introduced really amazing concepts like the Alpha Pokemon that, just strike fear into you, because I know, Rusty, you and I, the first time we encountered the Alpha Snorlax in the very first area, thinking that we could just catch it easily, and it just completely decimated us.
Listen, bro, one of the funniest moments on an episode in Side Mission history was on the Arceus episode, because we were talking about, I think, an Alpha Ursa ring that we all ran into. And Thacker and you were talking about it. I think I just randomly went, Ursa ring, I didn't hear no damn bell, or something like that. And it was just one of the funniest moments in a Side Mission episode. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that episode, you really need to, because it's a lot funnier than I just made it sound. But yeah, Arceus introduced a lot of great concepts, and I feel like, Matt, one of the things I want to see them improve on now, I would love to see one massive open world instead of open zones. The zones worked really well, but imagine if the Legends game was set in a completely open world where there's no loading screens to go to an area, and instead you're able to just go wherever you want from the jump, similar to what Scarlet and Violet did, obviously without the performance issues.
Yeah.
But that's what I would like to see.
I think the fact that, this is, I would say, is the longest time that we have gone without a mainline Pokemon game being released. So Game Freak took an extra year. Now, I'm really hoping that they took to heart the criticisms that Scarlet and Violet got, because if I remember correctly, Scarlet and Violet are probably the lowest reviewed Pokemon mainline games of all time.
Which is unfortunate, because they're really good games. They were just bogged down by performance.
Exactly. It didn't stop them, exactly like what you said. It didn't stop them from being really good games with a really good story, which is not something that I have personally seen in a mainline Pokemon game since Black and White. But a couple of things that makes me just really excited for this game, outside of what I just mentioned, is the fact that Pokemon X and Y were just kind of they came and they went. Whereas, Black and White got sequels, Ultra Sun and Moon got Ultra Sun and Moon, and then, Sword and Shield got DLC as long as Scarlet and Violet. So Kalos really got the kind of the short end of the stick, and I'm really excited the fact that we're going back to Kalos. The way that they were talking about it is that it seems like the main section is going to be Lumio City, which was one of my favorite parts about X and Y. The bringing back Mega Evolutions, and I also really hope that they do bring back a more modernized or standard, battle system, because Arceus did have that where they introduced the agile styles and the strong styles. I would like to see that make a comeback, but being set in a more modern era within Lumio City, I think that we might actually get a more, your standard battle type. Like I said, also just Mega Evolutions coming back is really big since we haven't had Mega Evolutions since Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And on top of that, I'm really curious to see where the story goes. If this is set in a more kind of like steampunk type of setting, which I've heard some murmurings, as well as potentially seeing a new evolution, because there's kind of hints here and there that we might see that with.
Please God, give us a new evolution.
With there being there was a flying type evolution that was mentioned way back with Sylveon when we were first getting the fairy type introduced. On top of that, like there's a special Eevee Terra type with flying Terra type that they are releasing on Pokemon Day. Just kind of things here and there. I would love to see a flying type evolution. That would be amazing. But I said I'm just really excited to see where they go with it. Kalos, like I said, was a fantastic setting. Just unfortunately, it fell short of being one of the more favorite mainline Pokemon games. But I definitely think that it's gonna get what it deserves with this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think Pokemon Legends ZA is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for it. I think that anybody that is a Pokemon fan should be excited for it because, like you said, Game Freak taking an extra year to make it. Maybe that's them saying, "Hey, we heard the criticism. We're going to listen. We're going to put extra time into this one. We're not going to have this issue again." I certainly hope that's the case. Kyle, I think I know what one of yours is going to be. I imagine it might be the very first one you say. And if it is the very first one you say, I think it might be my my current Game of the Year favorite for 2025. But let me hear it. What are you excited for this year?
Today's event made it Borderlands 4.
Oh, that is not what I was expecting. Okay, fair enough.
I cannot tell you how long I have been waiting for them to innovate this franchise, and while I think that Borderlands 3 was a fine game, we had a lot of fun with it. The difference I saw today, you could watch that trailer and not say, this is Borderlands 1, 2, or 3 at all. Because there are grappling hooks, there is dismemberment, there is swimming. It really feels like they wanted to innovate and go beyond just potty humor. And I'm so glad because Tiny Tina's was not my favorite by any means. And I would go as far to say I was disappointed by it. So my hype for Borderlands died with that game. To see them actually doing something different with this franchise in terms of gameplay is very refreshing, and it's something that this franchise needed, because had this come out and looked like just newer graphics, more guns, Borderlands 3, I'd be like, I'm probably gonna skip it, or I'd do it just for the content, but not gonna platinum it or anything. This game looks awesome. Dismemberment and gore, I think, is something that we have been needing in the Borderlands franchise for a long time. It's a violent game. It's rated M for a reason. They've had everything but the gore. It's raunchy. It's very adult themed, which is another reason why I think the movie did not do well, because it was toned down. This is toned up from Borderlands 2 and 3. And I gotta be honest, I was just like, I'll get the game. Until today's trailer, when I saw that, I was like, I'm fucking hyped for this. It looks great, and that's probably my most anticipated game this year, other than the obvious, GTA 6. I think that's not even like one we can really count. Who the fuck isn't excited for that, But yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Borderlands 4 is going to be fantastic as well. I loved Borderlands 3. I enjoyed playing that through with you, Kyle. I know that we had a lot of fun with it outside of Eden 6. Because Eden 6 was not a great planet to go to. But I do think that there's a lot for them to build on. And again, watching the gameplay today, it is very exciting. Very, very, very exciting. And I think that it's coming out at a really good time in September. when really outside of 2K and Madden, there might not necessarily be a ton coming out, so it's going to have a lot of the spotlight to itself. That is a big, big deal for the Borderlands franchise, and I think that this is going to be a return to form because I am very much in step with you. The Tiny Tina's was not my favorite. I did not really enjoy that game. I have the platinum for that game, and it's my least favorite platinum that I've ever gotten because it was miserable to go and get that platinum. But I do think Borderlands 4 going to be the return to form for this franchise, and I know I am absolutely excited for it as well. Well, I got to be honest, fellas. I'm a little shocked, and maybe I'm about to steal somebody's game with this one. I really thought this one was going to be off the table to me by the time it got to my turn. But I think a game that all three of us are excited for, and I'm excited to actually talk about it since we've seen a little bit more of it, since we've seen gameplay, since we've seen a trailer for it. I mean, if you're looking for a 2025 Game of the Year favorite right now and you're a betting man, I would take a lot of my money and I would put it on Doom the Dark Ages. Doom the Dark Ages looks fantastic. I think that the medieval theme is awesome. It being kind of this origin of the Doom Slayer and kind of going back in time, being more of a prequel to Doom 2016 rather than being a continuation from Doom Eternal. I feel like there's a lot of really interesting things they can do here, and it looks like they've innovated a lot in the gameplay. Obviously, the big thing that sticks out is having a shield, having a mace that you can use as opposed to obviously a flamethrower and a chainsaw like Doom Eternal. But like Kyle, there's dragons in this game. There are mechs that are hundreds of feet tall that you're going to be able to control and be a part and use in the game. Like there are so many things in this game. The soundtrack sounds awesome so far. I feel like Kyle, if you're an FPS fan, this is going to be a must-have for any year. But in the year 2025, you absolutely need to get this one day one.
Dude, I don't usually buy like collector's editions of games, but this is one that I looked at and said, man, I might have to, because holy shit, it looks great. I mean, I have a lot of faith in id Software because Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal were great. And the way they ended Doom Eternal with the DLC, I thought was a very fitting end to the story. It's awesome that they aren't done with it, because I was a little worried, like, that we might not get another Doom game for a while, because it essentially was the end of the story. I mean, it's great, don't get me wrong, but I love these games, and I don't want them to end yet. So them doing a prequel, fantastic. And like you said, the origin of the Doom Slayer, I don't think that this has ever been done in a mainline game, probably in the lore, but to see the mainline, game take us through the origin, I'm so hyped to see how different this compares to Eternal and 2016.
Yeah, I think that those both being the games they were, I've said multiple times, Doom Eternal in the last decade is one of, if not the best, first-person shooters that's ever been released. Very easily could have won Game of the Year it came out because it was just fantastic that year. I'm expecting Doom the Dark Ages to be an absolute juggernaut when we look at the best games of this year. I think it absolutely is going to compete for Game of the Year. Matt, what is another game you're really excited for?
So this game, this is a long time coming, considering we have not had a sequel to this franchise since...
Let me take a wild guess. It's Okami 2, isn't it?
Actually, no, because I doubt that's coming out this year.
Oh, wow. Okay, fair enough. I was wrong. Continue.
No, since we haven't had a sequel to this game since 2007 on the Wii, Metroid Prime 4 is absolutely something that I cannot wait for. We got a small tidbit of gameplay a couple of months back at a direct, and just knowing that Retro Studios is back to developing this game, considering we just got back in 2023 we got Metroid Prime, and Russ, you got to experience Metroid Prime for the first time.
Yeah,
I was really happy for you because that game, back when I put it on the GameCube back in 2002, was one of those moments as a fan of Metroid since Super Metroid came out on the Super Nintendo. Was just one of the perfect ways to transition a franchise from 2D to 3D. And it continued to live up to that, those expectations with Prime 2 Echoes and then Prime 3 Corruption. And back when the Switch was first released, we actually had an E3 event where they announced Metroid Prime 4. And that was back in 2017. We are in 2025 now with Metroid Prime 4 just on the horizon of release, and there's no telling if this is going to be Switch exclusive. We don't know if it's going to come to the Switch too, which I'm hoping it's a launch title because I think that would be fantastic for this game to get that type of, attention and recognition that Breath of the Wild got back on the Switch. That big launch game. But if you're launching with Mario Kart, you might have some competition with yourself, Nintendo. So I kind of hope that you space those games apart. But I'm really looking forward to it because Metroid Prime 3, the way it ended, was if you got the secret ending after 100% completing everything, you saw a mysterious bounty hunter ship following Samus, and there was a game on the DS called Metroid Prime Hunters, and there was a hunter named Silux that he for some reason, he just stuck out to me the most. He was my favorite among the different hunters that you could play as in that game. And they're continuing a story that happened at the end of Prime 3 Corruption, and then there was another 3DS game that was kind of like called Federation Force. It was kind of a mid-game, didn't really get a lot of attention. This was back during Nintendo's kind of transition period when the 3DS was at its last legs, and the Wii U was just practically buried at this point. But they're bringing Silux back and continuing the story about how he captures the last surviving Metroids, and I can't wait to see where they go with it, because just from what they showed us from that gameplay, I literally was like, there's no way this is running on the Switch. But it was. Like, Retro Studios are like magicians with the hardware, and I can't wait to see what they can pull off with not just the Switch, but the Switch too. Like, I'm super excited for Metroid Prime 4. Samus has been like one of my all-time favorite characters. Like I said, I can't wait to see what they do with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think Metroid Prime 4 is going to be really good as well. I'm looking forward to it as someone who is still really new to the franchise. I'm excited for that one as well. Kyle, what about you? What's another game you're looking forward to?
To absolutely nobody's surprise, Sonic Cross Worlds looks so fucking good, dude. I said as a joke that this game was going to be a Riders Racing transformed all in one, and I did not know that that was actually going to be what it was. I couldn't be happier with this. The fact that we're getting... first of all, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed from the Xbox 360 was my favorite Sonic racing game, and I love to see that it's getting love and they're bringing it back. The fact that Cross Worlds is going to open up potential for literally any Sonic character. They've confirmed the multiverse. We can use the movies. We can use every Sonic game, bringing characters that are obscure like Styx, as well known as Shadow. The possibilities are literally endless with this. The DLC, I hope that it's free. I hope that they drop constant characters and maps for free. I know this game's probably going to have a season pass, and if it does, I will drop 2 points off of it. I'm sorry, but that's disgusting. Other than that, I think Sonic Cross Worlds is aiming to be one of the best Sonic racing games if it's done correctly, because Riders is one of the most requested Sonic racing games to be brought back. And rather than give us a remaster, they said, why don't we just give you all of them in one? Why don't we put Riders in this new game? And I'm hoping that it's just you get to choose essentially... Like, we saw all kinds of different vehicles, which was fucking nuts. Shadow has a damn monster truck. You can have, a board from, like, Sonic Riders. You can have a car, just like from Sonic Racing, transformed. But it really makes me wonder how they're going to pull off all three, if it's going to be certain stages that are just Riders stages and you use the Riders vehicles, if there's transformed stages. Because if they manage to mix all three elements from each racing game into one stage, that's gonna blow my fucking mind. Like, I can't even comprehend how you would use a Rider's vehicle and get the transformed mechanics to work on it. Like, I have to see this game, and I'm really excited that they're doing a network test. I signed Rusty up. You better put him in Sega. That's my second most anticipated game because, dude, Sonic is getting so much love. I'm so excited about it. I gotta stop talking.
No, I'm right there with you. Like the gameplay itself, just it looks like a blast. That's the main thing. Is it looks fun, for lack of a better word.
Yes.
And I think I'm with you that if they do that, where in one stage you use all three forms of transportation, I mean that is just epic. I love that already. You can go ahead and sign me up. I'm excited for that as well. To go ahead and round this out, and then this should be again, if it was already not a surprise for Kyle on Sonic, not a surprise for Matt and Nintendo. This one is definitely not a surprise if you know me. I mean, Elden Ring Night Rain has got my full attention at the end of May. And the fact that we now have a release date of May 30th for it, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for it to be a co-op game, for it to be completely standalone from Elden Ring, and for it to be a completely new thing. I got excited over the dumbest thing about it earlier. I saw the announcement for it, and I noticed that the area you're going to is called Limveld and not Limgrave, which means that it's going to be a completely new map. I'm excited for that. I think that the fact that it's going to also bring back different bosses that we've seen in other From Software games, I think there is no world where Elden Ring Night Rain is a bad game. FromSoft has not put out very many low-quality games as is. I mean, Matt, we play Elden Ring together already as is. We played a ton of that game together when it first came out. We played a ton of Shadow of the Erdtree together. Now for a game to be built around Elden Ring that is built entirely for co-op, I mean, what is not to love about that?
Yeah, can I just say you can't give me shit for that now because it is a requirement to play
I really
online.
can't. I really can't. That's fair. That's fair.
I'm also looking forward to the fact that not only are Elden Ring bosses and new bosses going to be here, but old fan favorites are also going to be here from Dark Souls and Bloodborne. Like, it's crazy what they're doing with this game.
Yeah, I think that there is a lot to love. Kyle, you said you had something to add.
Yeah, what I really am excited about is that this is a roguelike.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah,
I really, really wonder how the fuck that's gonna work. Because in Dark Souls, you level yourself up, right, constantly. But in roguelikes, you reset. So, like, how the are they gonna, like, cap the levels at 25 or something? Or, like, you know, or are we gonna get... Also, another big thing about roguelikes is getting, like, special abilities and stuff. Like, I am very, very excited for this game because the roguelike elements severely interest me. I'm excited to see what they do with this.
Yeah, I think that Elden Ring Night Rain is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for it. I know the two of you are as well. There's a lot of great games coming this year. We didn't even get to a game like GTA 6. We didn't get to talk about the Lies of P DLC that's coming out in the summer. I didn't get to talk about WWE or college football. Those are going to both be covered here on the podcast as well. We're going to probably have Darius and Isaac rejoin me for those episodes. Among other games, I mean, this is just going to be a really fun year, boys. I think we're in for a really, really great year of gaming. I'm excited. Yeah. I know you two are as well. That is going to do it for... Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, especially with the launch of Switch 2.
No, I agree. I think that's great as well. I'm excited for that. And so that is going to do it for this episode of Side Mission. You can follow us on Twitter at Side Mission Pod. You can also follow us on Facebook as well at Side Mission Podcast. For the boys, for Kyle, for Matt, I'm Rusty. Thanks for listening.